Another interesting thing, as we talk about the Tigers and Cubs, my two favorite teams, is both have the exact same record. They had the same record going into the series at Wrigley last week. Cubs did win the series 2-1, but now we're back to both teams being one game below 500. But the routes they got to those records are hilariously different because, of course, the Cubs are bumping up against the de facto salary cap, the collective or the competitive balance tax, 228 million right now, I think, after the trade deadline. Uh, the Tigers, meanwhile, have the exact same record and have a $97 million payroll at the moment.
Moneyball.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways to get to be a team just below 500, apparently. So it's just amusing. You could say the Cubs have misspent their money, I guess, or you could say the Tigers are spending their money wisely. I don't really know. They're not spending much money at all, so I don't know. I just thought that was ironic and something to bring up. The Cubs also released big news last week. They released Héctor Neris, their default closer, that they were resorting to after many injuries to the bullpen, which still happens to be one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball since June 1st. Uh, Neris was a fucking disaster waiting to happen, essentially. Call him Heart Attack Héctor. Héctor Nervous was another nickname I heard. He had a whip over 1.5, which is just a disaster for especially a closer to have. There'd be more than one one runner on base every time he took the mound, and that is not what you want to see from your closer. So fortunately, he's been supplanted by Jorge Lopez, which I don't know if you remember this. We talked about it at the time. This was prior to our hiatus late last spring, but Jorge Lopez was DFA'd by the Mets back in May after an incident where he threw his glove into the crowd. Was interviewed after the game saying, misquoted, mind you, saying he was on the worst team in the majors and he didn't want to be there anymore or whatever he said. But of course, it was later revealed he said he was the worst teammate in Major League Baseball because he was having some personal issues. He was not attacking the Mets at all. I also saw it reported at the time that he chucked his mitt into the crowd, kind of like implying that it was a violent thing where people were in danger. He threw it. It was ridiculous, but he threw his mitt, but he tossed it up over the netting. It wasn't like he didn't chuck it into the crowd. I thought that was unfair too. So it was just all part of the New York reporting at the time, just kind of piling on. And so much of it was false, but he's come to the Cubs and has been a revelation. He just clearly needed a change of scenery. I believe whatever personal issues he's put behind him. So it's kind of a fun story almost because he's been lights out with the Cubs, and after seeing such a weird way to leave the Mets, I also we can't stand the Mets on this podcast, so it's just hilarious that their potential overreaction has been fortunate for the Cubs, as he's probably going to be the closer going forward. So yeah, other than that, I'll get to the Cubs when we get to our badass of the week. But there's a couple of guys I want to talk about there.
Word Hole Media.